been fortunate to have a few. And first of all, I look back into my family with my mother and my wife. Both of them being always quite selfless and always been a rock to myself and others. And that's definitely influenced me to be the same.
Probably look, at the moment, my inspiration is my daughter. She's 15. She's about to enter the workplace. So I guess in the context of this, she inspires me in a number of different ways in terms of, being a good role model to her, but then obviously looking at the opportunities she's going to have and deciding on careers and things as she goes to that critical stage of her life. So for me at the moment, probably my daughter.
Many women in my life. First manager that I ever had, that I worked with, I was inspired by. She's amazing. She works for Women's Support Center, so she helps a lot of women refugees, women who are single, who are carrying a lot of weight over the shoulders, and she's still working along a lot of volunteer and community services. So that has inspired me a lot, being strong, and not only strong in your own life, but inject positivity into other people's life.
In my life would probably be my wife and my mother. Both fought really hard for where they are. My wife was in a male-dominated industry. She's a police officer and worked her way through to be a detective. So she was one of few people in her division at the time that was female. So seeing her strive and work pretty hard to get where she's got has definitely been an inspiration to myself.
I've had many female role models in my life. My mother, friends, people I call her sisters, any woman that's gone through an obstacle and come out the other end stronger.
My career at D'Angelo Legal, where I started as a lawyer. My manager at the time was Keely Barker, and she was definitely my mentor and role model. So she's taught me all I know in regards to the law. At the start, I probably wasn't her biggest fan. Every time I would submit work, she would send it back filled with red pen. There'll be lots of corrections, but it taught me attention to detail and taking pride in my work. She herself is an absolute gun. So she was a single mother who was balancing the work-life balance, raising children, and managing an entire department within the firm, and she's been an absolute inspiration.
Definitely my grandma. So she was WA's first married nurse. She was a widow, had 3 children, and she always encouraged me to be a builder.
I think that'd have to be my nonna, definitely. We originally came from Croatia, my family, so they all migrated here, and it was really hard for her to make that decision. And I think just uplifting your whole family here, that's got to be someone with a strong mind, and she did so much for my mum. And I know because I used to go there every day after school, because my mum was a working mum. So it was really nice to have her as well, and my nonna as well, they taught us so much, and especially just fight for what you believe in.
We're pretty lucky at the moment. There's so many amazing women, but definitely someone who I'm looking up to at the moment is Zoe Foster-Blake. So she's an Australian businesswoman. She runs some incredible businesses. She's a writer, she's a wife, she's a mother. She's sort of the epitome of positivity and balancing it all.
I was raised by women and very strong, independent, single women, and one of those, my mother, and the other being my grandmother, who is a very tough person, but instilled some great lessons in me. And I think if I had to say where I get my work ethic from, it's definitely my grandmother.
Well, I've had many, but I think more recently Brene Brown. I love Brene Brown, not just because her name is similar to mine, but I feel like she's unapologetic about who she is, and the fact that she focuses on vulnerability and courage and bravery is something that really resonates with me.
My mother. I'll get all emotional. She's amazing. She's a strong single mama, so 3 girls, and so I come from a very powerful woman house. So there was 4 of us growing up, and now we have grown. I'm the youngest. We have all gone into pretty strong woman modelling roles. So my sister works for DCP, and she trains and teaches Indigenous women in rural areas to be strong women. And my older sister is a personal trainer.
A female role model that I've seen is probably Jacinda Ardern, the New Zealand Prime Minister. I think because the way that she's been able to be a woman in a real male-dominated, being in politics, she's been able to balance like empathy, consideration, decisiveness, and that sort of go-to action that, you know, women really do get, you know, critiques for. It's like, oh, women can be very emotional, they can be very, that doesn't make them very decisive, but then to be able to see her respond to certain policies, to tragedy, she's been able to be someone that you can see and be like, she got that balance perfect.
Once again, setting an example of how you want females to be treated. I guess having a young daughter and in a workplace and context is that she's going to enter the workforce and making sure she's treated fairly and got opportunities, and then just in a general life sense is obviously, yeah, providing her with the best I can, and setting a good example. So yeah, she inspires me in that way.
It made me stronger, look more positive, and keep on going, push on.
They've given me the strength to get to where I am today, to push through, you know, glass ceilings, boundaries. It's made me get to where I am.
I think it was always to never think that you were confined to a particular role, and she always encouraged me to try everything, and has been such a huge support in my life.
Probably a few things. I think the ability to communicate definitely comes from the women in my life and in my family. So that's probably the first thing. The second thing, as I said, that work ethic and the drive to want to provide for my family and achieve things in life has come from them. And probably thirdly, and very apt for me, is don't take yourself too seriously. I think they keep me humble and they keep me not thinking I'm a big deal. So yeah.
To look after myself, and that's kind of evolved over the years. At first it was look after myself and make sure I didn't get up to too much mischief and came home at night, and then as I've become older and with a family, it's to look after myself, to make sure that I'm of good mindset and health to look after my family.
Patience wins, and she has been patient throughout her life. She has so many beautiful children, and all of her children are successful, so that's an encouraging factor for me.
Definitely, as I get older, I realised that not worrying about what everyone else thinks of you or what everyone else is doing, just sticking in your own lane and running your own race, and that's the most important advice.
Probably the best advice that I've ever had from Mum was just to stay humble.
Be kind to others, and that's going to be 1,000 times more important than what you know, who you know.
She's always told me just to follow my heart. I've always done everything that I can do, like in life, whether that's traveling, like I said, just putting 110% into everything, and people will just listen to you and you listen to others, and yeah, I think just that's what everyone really wants at the end of the day. So yeah, she's a good one.
I'm a big advocate of engagement and open communication, so definitely I would encourage that of others, of my peers and colleagues to do the same. I think there are no bad ideas. I just think it's about a matter of timing and engagement, and then to implement them. So definitely people to be able to speak their mind freely, to have that discussion and see where we are, for their own personal development, even for myself to have a better understanding.
Building industry is an interesting industry in the fact that on the sales side it's very male dominant, and then kind of on the admin side a little bit probably more female dominant. So trying to get that balance across both teams is probably our biggest challenge, and from what I find through the years of me being a sales manager, is having female sales consultants within the team really does balance the team quite nicely. Definitely
Sponsorship. So one thing that men are particularly good at is firstly speaking about their accomplishments and also about the accomplishments of others. So I think it's really important that women and men equally really are the voice for their female colleagues, and they always make sure that they bring them up.
The construction industry has typically been male dominated, and I think that's no secret. I think the biggest impact I can have in my role is promoting the culture of celebrating women in our business, and maybe knocking out a few of those old thinking that, for example, supervisors, construction supervisors, is a job only for men. One of the women that will be in attendance, and I believe you're interviewing as part of this process as well, Jess Berry, is arguably one of the best supers we've ever had in the group. So I think culturally is probably the most important thing from my perspective.
I think it all starts with starting the communication with inclusivity, and it's, empowering everyone that they will be listened, they will be heard, and that there is a seat at the table for them. And it doesn't mean that 50 women have to compete for that one spot. It's make the table bigger.
Let's be each for equal.
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 Let's be each for equal. Let's be each for equal.
Let's be each for equal.
Let's be each for equal.
Let's be each for equal.